Hello and welcome. In case you are working with Flutter, chances are you have encountered this warning. Moreover, the FlutterFire team released a big upgrade for all Flutter Firebase plugins, making them consistent with the other platforms. Today we are going to upgrade my first Flutter project to embedding v2 Kotlin since it was initially based on Java and the latest version of Firebase. As an intro, the app is a cashback platform for Romanian online shops, at least for now, and it is available on App and Play Store. We are gonna start by importing the packages and quickly move to enabling Kotlin. In the app-specific build.gradle, we tell Flutter to use the Kotlin plugin and where to find our source files. Then we update the Gradle dependencies and get rid of some of them like multidex, which is no longer needed. As you can see, I already had the main activity Kotlin file, I don't know why, alongside the Java one. Since the app uses Firebase Cloud Messaging, or FCM for short, for push notifications, we will define a custom Android application which allows us to register the FCM plugin. Our new application class extends the Flutter application class and implements the plugin registrant callback. Our class will override two methods, the first one being onCreate. This is the method called by Android to initialize the plugins, in this case Firebase Messaging. We then define a singleton object responsible for that. By the way, the Kotlin way of doing that using the object keyword is pretty neat. Also, some plugins only work with fragment activities, such as local auth, which handles biometric authentication, so we switch to that in the main activity. At this point, we can get rid of the previous Java implementation. By the way, if you don't need any platform-specific plugins, you can get rid of the entire main activity and leave only the Flutter-generated class. Moving to the Android manifest, we tell Flutter to run the app using the class we just defined and update the way the splash screen and normal theme are declared. These are displayed while Flutter is loading and warming up the app. And of course, we enable embedding v2 by adding the corresponding metadata entry. Then, moving to the main build file, we declare the Kotlin version, which is referenced from the app-specific build file we just modified, and add the Kotlin dependency. Finally, we make sure the app build still works. This concludes the embedding upgrade and it's time to move to the fun part, updating the dependencies. We proceed to update the pubspec file. Note that you have to manually switch to the new Firebase versions and equally important to the new RxDart version. Running pubspec upgrade, just for the sake of it, brings us the tasks for today. These go from mere warnings to stone-cold errors. We will handle all of them because I cannot withstand the social pressure of having VSCode complain about anything. Of course, most, if not all, of the changes are presented by the FlutterFire team. We will mostly use VSCode to replace all occurrences, which can be a double-edged sword. The first one is replacing Firestore with Firebase Firestore. Good start. Then, the method for retrieving a certain document from Firestore was renamed from document to simply doc, just like on the other platforms. Also, the data attribute is now a function, so we replace that. Be careful with this one, as you might replace other legitimate uses of it, such as the one from Future and Stream builders. One critical change is how the current user is retrieved from Firebase authentication. Until now, it was an async operation, but the new way is simply to read the current user attribute, which is a synchronous operation. I'll change this in several places since most of my services read the current user before performing the actual operation. All in all, I like this change as it greatly simplifies the code. Also, Firebase user is now called simply user, which most likely will collide with a locally defined user, just as in my case. The way to overcome that is by using namespaces for imports. Other changes are regarding the actual authentication flows, such as slightly different classes, switching from named to positional parameters, and simplifying tokens. The way to update the Firebase user was also simplified from having to define an intermediary object to directly calling the update profile method with the right parameters. Taking a short break from Firebase, we see that the almighty class observable no longer exists. That's because RxDart now uses Dart extension methods, which means that we can use streams directly. Some code refactoring might be needed since we no longer have to instantiate an observable object based on a stream. There is also an automated way to upgrade RxDart, which I'll add in the description. Back to Firebase, we continue by replacing get documents with get and more of what we've already seen. Also, set data is now simply set, and the way to tell Firestore to merge the data is slightly different. By the way, this is the observable instantiation I was talking about, which we can get rid of. Similarly to set, update data was also renamed to update. As a bonus task, we also update carousel slider, which is a plugin to display multiple images in a carousel, which now groups certain parameters into a single object. Continuing our refactoring spree, we fix some more data accesses and restart the Dart language server so it correctly considers RxDart. Then we launch the emulator to test the app. To no one's surprise, it doesn't work yet. Another critical change is that we must now initialize Firebase before doing anything related to it. Since this is an async operation, we need some way to wait for it. One option would be to add a feature builder to our widget tree, but this will most likely trash the hot reload feature. The proper way is to make the main function async and await the initialization, which also looks far cleaner. Also, be careful about Firebase exception handling. So far, Firebase threw platform exceptions, but now it throws Firebase exceptions. These are especially relevant for handling authentication and possibly Firestore errors, as you can see in my case. Remember the thing with Firebase initialization? It also applies if you had plain singleton objects, which I had for this authentication service, for example. One proper way to handle service instances is using a locator, which is a form of dependency injection. Of course, there is always a price to pay for using the replace all command. In this case, it's the data attribute of the feature or stream builder snapshot. The compiler will not notice this if the builder is untyped, like they are in my case. We go through the main screens and most importantly validate that notifications still work. I test this by deleting a commission I had and tell the system to update the commissions, which should hopefully result in me receiving a notification. This must be tested with the application open and then closed because the mechanism is slightly different. Everything works as expected, so we are done for today. Good job! Thank you for your attention and I hope you found this helpful. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like and a comment and see you soon. Bye!